Okay.
Now we are 17. Autang sir has also come.
Yes, and we are going to start now. Good evening to all the participants present here in the fifth weekly Tibeto-Burman talk series of Tiblane. Today, our speaker is Professor K.H. Dhiren Singha from Assam University, Silchar, and he is going to present on endangered languages in Northeast India, a bird's eye view. Before Professor Singha starts his talk, I would like to give a brief profile on his recent research and research experiences. Professor Singha is currently the head in charge of the Department of Linguistics, Assam University, Silchar, and he has had many publications, among which he has been the author of 3 books mainly. That is an introduction to Dimasa phonology, then another book on Dimasa Anigrao, My Language, and Dimasa Word Book, a classified dictionary vocabulary. And he has also completed his project investigation on Mayor language under the scheme for protection and preservation of endangered languages from the CIL. And he's also the editor of Indian Language Review. His research interests include phonology, morphosyntax, language typology, and Tibeto-Burman linguistics. I'd like to request Professor Singha to kindly begin the talk.
Thank you, Manali. Am I audible now?
Yes, yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. Thank you, Manali. And first of all, I have to say a few things with all my friends. See, we are learning to do, but to document, but to describe the languages of Northeast India. So as we know that in Northeast India, we have number of languages, but we don't know how many languages are being spoken in Northeast India. And consequently, we are difficult to say that how many endangered languages or dialects in the region. So my today's talk is endangered languages in Northeast India, a bird's eye view. Good evening, everybody. So as we know that Northeast India is traditionally the abode of different linguistic groups, having their rich cultural and linguistic heritage. It is the paradise for linguists, anthropologists, and social scientists from the country and abroad. Interestingly, languages from 5 major language families, namely Austroasiatic, Dravidian, Indo-Aryan, Thai, Kadai, and Tibeto-Burman. So we have to mention that we have large number of least studied languages and poorly documented languages. This is the map of Northeast India. Just I want to share with you in India where Northeast India is located. As we know that, okay, we know we are Northeastern people, but we are not, confined in this particular point that, okay, what or where our Northeast India located. So, brief typological features of Northeast Indian languages, and it is difficult to say that, okay, what are the typological features of Northeast Indian languages, because in Northeast India itself, I have mentioned that we have 5 language families. So tonal is one of the features, particularly for the TB languages. Then monosyllabic is for TB and Austroasiatic. Then classifiers for TB, Indo-Aryan, then Dravidian. Affixation, compounding, and reduplication are the common features of morphology in almost all the languages in North India, irrespective of its language families. Then agreement is one of the very unique features of North Indian languages. We have agreement in Indorian, we have agreement in Tibeto-Burman, particularly in Caucasian languages, we have agreement in Dravidian. Then SOB language, what order, and SBO, because SOB is most of the TB languages and Indorian languages and Dravidian languages, they are having subject, object, and verb what order. But when you talk about the Khashi and Khasian and some Thai languages, say Thai Phake, then Thai Khamti, etc., though they are spoken in and around the Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, though these regions are dominated by the SOB languages, and their word order is now seems to be conversion from SBO to SOV. But in fact, their original features of the language is sometimes written in some sentential construction. And theoretical background, we have a set fact of our times as the loss of the world's languages of an unprecedented rate. So linguistic diversity as with cultural diversity and biological diversity is under serious threat around the world. So in that perspectives, David Crystal, 1997, was pointing out that 80% of the world's 6,000 or so living languages will die within the next century. So it may be true the flow of globalization and modernization may affect the small minority languages of the world. Yeah, the loss of a single language then diminishes our world view as surely as the loss of a biological species. Language loss is quite naturally legitimate and critical concern to the biologists, linguists, sociologists, and the social scientists. So, most of the scientists, they have estimated every 14 days a language dies. By 2021, more than half of the 7,000 languages spoken on Earth, many of them not yet recorded, may disappear. Talking with them, a well of knowledge about history, culture, the natural environment, and the human brain. National Geographic Society Enduring Voices stated. And since the year 1600, the planet lost a full 484 animal species, while 654 plant species were recorded as having gone extinct. There's Hawksworth, Kellen, and Hayward. They have mentioned the loss of our species in this planet. Of course, these are underestimates. When you compare the percentage of language endangerment, that is very, very unfortunate that, compared to this, the estimated 40% of language that are endangered is a staggering figure. Languages are far more threatened than birds, say 11% threatened, endangered or extinct, mammals 18%, fish 5%, or plants 8%. Sutherland 2003 mentioned the things very clearly. We have pioneering linguists and organization on endangered language study, say Michael Krause and Ken Halley, Worm, Dhiren, Leonard and Lensley, Crystal, Daniel, Suzanne, Bradley, and Bradley Harrison. They are the key linguists who have extensively worked on endangered languages and try to put their effort to safeguard those languages. Then Foundation for Endangered Languages Living Tongue Institute for Endangered Languages, Central Institute of Indian Languages. These are the key organizations involved to safeguard the endangered language of this planet. Yes, language endangerment is a global issue. We cannot deny that, okay, so language endangerment is with us now. It has been from the beginning, but in fact, the rate of language endangerment in this modern time is more faster than earlier. That's why UNESCO Atlas of the World's Languages in Danger 2009 provides updated data about approximately 2,500 endangered languages out of 6,000 existing languages in the world. Yes, more than 200 have become extinct during the last 3 generations, and 538 are critically endangered, 502 severely endangered, and 632 definitely endangered, and 607 unsafe. So unfortunately, India tops the list of the countries with greatest number of endangered languages, 196 in all, followed by the United States and Indonesia. Then out of 196 languages listed in India, approximately 89 languages are from the northeastern India, despite of their rich cultural and linguistic heritage. In this connection, most of the linguists, anthropologists, and scientists have devoted to work on the endangered languages of this planet and put that effort to find out the ways of protection, preservation, maintenance, and revitalizations. But it is not a very easy job to do that in this globalization and in this modernization. So UNESCO Atlas of the World's Languages in Danger provides updated data about approximately, as I mentioned earlier, 2,500 endangered languages and 6,000 existing languages in the world. So now, in the context of Northeast India, UNESCO 2009 has mentioned that, these are the languages. These are the 98 languages are listed under this language endangerment. So I'm not pronouncing all the names of the language, Adi, Ahom, Ahmol, but you can see in my slide. But the question is now, the languages listed by UNESCO are really endangered or not? Say UNESCO's report seems to have some problems. We feel that there is some problems to determine the endangered languages in the region due to lack of authentic data. Therefore, it is proposed to review the report of UNESCO 2009, particularly for the languages of Northeast India, for the following reasons. But since for the last, for 4 or 5 years back, some of the linguists from India, they have already written to UNESCO, but till today, UNESCO did not declare officially. So I'm just mentioning that some of the languages are not endangered at all, that they have listed in their Red Book. So I just mentioning here that 89 endangered languages, in fact, include alternate names of same language. That is Dimasa and Kasari, and Hilimiri and Mishing, Mzemi and Zemi, Khamti and Khamba, Sangla and Lishpa, that is Monpa. And some of the scheduled languages of India like Boro, Manipuri are being listed in the list. And we know that, okay, they are very viable and they have now become the official language of India. That is, 8 languages is the official language of India. Just similarly, Khasi and Mizo, though they are not included in the 8th schedule of Indian constitutions, but their viability is pretty high. That is, They are the state official languages of Meghalaya and Mizoram respectively, and they're also included in the Red Book of UNESCO. And some of the, in contrast to that, some of the potentially but critically endangered languages of Northeast India are not included in the UNESCO's list for endangered languages. Say we have Churai, Dab, Chaimol, Bongshir, Darlong, Kaipeng, Koloi, Korbong, Rangpul Mok, Balsam, Ranglong, of Tripura. They are numerically, they are very, very weak, and their language, their language never be introduced in the schools in formal setting, and their language is not the language of administration. Their language is not the language of trade and business, and you know the dominant language speakers imposing their language to this group of people, that is this minority endangered speakers. And similarly, when you see the case of Assam, in Assam, say this Khelma, Moran, Motok, Rava, Sonowal, they are missing in the list of UNESCO. And in case of Manipur as well, say Kharam, Purum, Taro, Thangal, these languages are, in terms of numerical, in terms of academics, in terms of administration, and they're very, very, they don't have any role in that particular areas. So same case, Hazong and Coast of Meghalaya, then in Arunachal Pradesh, Koro, Meir, Pasi, and Simu of Arunachal Pradesh. I maybe left out some of the languages or dialects in this particular the regions, but I have mentioned some of the languages or dialects that I have experienced. So this is the map indicating languages of Northeast India, but unfortunately map is not very clear, but in fact is visible. So I'm just concerned with the 7 states. I don't have much more data about the Sikkim. So I'm sorry to say that, okay, I'm not giving much information about the Sikkim. So that is the state-wise endangered languages of Northeast India. Say in Arunachal Pradesh, say we have number of languages or dialects in Arunachal Pradesh. So I'm just classifying in the in terms of Abor Meri Dafla, then Tai Kadai. So interestingly, so few of the languages of Arunachal Pradesh they have introduced in the schools in the primary level, that is Apatani, say Galo, then Galong, then Nisi, then Monpa, Singpo, and these are the languages they have introduced in the school in the primary level. But they are not becoming the language of administration. They are not becoming the language of trade and commerce. They are not becoming the language of mass media, because in all India radio, their language is not being broadcasted, and in Doordarshan as well, they are not. These languages are not telecast. So similarly, if you see the case of Assam, in Assam we have, I think so Assam is the only state we have languages from different language families or different language subgroups like Bodogaro, Kukishin, then Naga group. I'm using Naga group, then Thai group, and Austroasiatic. So in Bodogaro we have Deuri, Dimasa, Rava, Sonowal, Tiwa, Moran, Motok, Kos, Missing, etc. So Sonowal and Moran Motok. The case of Sonowal, Moran Motok is something pathetic, because Sonowal there are populations. Sonowal ethnic community, okay, they have populations, but there is no Sonowal speaker. Similar in the case of Moran and Motok as well. Moran people are there, but they did not speak their language. They have already shifted towards the Assamese, and now they are the Assamese speakers. In the Kukishin subgroup, this we have Aimol, Beate, Chiru, Chorai, Mar, Rangkhol, Kelma, Sakasep, Fanar, Ranglong, Sairem, Thado, and Baife. So interesting here, this Mar in Kukishin group, this Mar is introduced in the school in primary to secondary level in Assam. So in case of Bodogaro, Dimasa, Dewi, and Missing, they have introduced in the school in the primary level. And not a Naga group of language is being introduced in school in Assam. So Rongmei Jami we have, but still Rongmei Naga yet to introduce in a school, even in primary level. And in Thai group, we have Thai Fakis introduced in school in primary level. So, and there are other Thai dialect is yet to introduce in the school. And interestingly, in Assam, Assamese is the dominant language, Bengali is the dominant language. And this Dimasa, then Deuri, Rava, and this Beate, Aimol, Shiru, Tai Kambyang, Tai Fake, Tai Khamti. And they are, minority languages. Because if you see their numerical strength, I think so Dimasa has more than 1 lakh, but most of the languages, they're under, they say 50,000, then 30,000, 20,000, 10,000. It's very negligible, numerical strength. In Manipur, the case of Manipur is something, different. And Kukishin and Naga group of languages are there in Manipur, but the Kukishin is the dominant. So we have in Kukishin more number of languages like Aimol, Anal, Chiru, Chothe, Gangte, Mari, Inpui, Kabui, Karam, Kara, Koirao, Koiren, Kom, Lamkang. But I feel that this Kabui, there is a doubt, okay, but if anybody knows about the Kabui, they may, clarify me and they may teach me, because Kabui, in terms of language, the structure is more closer to Kukishin, something like, but I may be wrong. But so far, okay, I'm just okay. Other than political, perspectives, I'm just keeping this Kabui under Kukishin because of the structure of the language. Even this Liangmai, I may be wrong, but we have to, cross-check, and we have to further studies needed for that. In Naga, Mao, Maram, Maring, Paumai, Purum, Tangkhul, Sema. In Manipur also, there are few languages are introduced in the schools, like this Mar, then this Kabui, then say Paite, then Thado. And Thado is one of the large, group, because Thado, maybe their population in census of, and they're around 2 lakh or more than 2 lakh. So, and is a very, advanced language in case of, in the context of Manipur. So similarly, you see here again, this Mao is also introduced, but Maram, Maring, Paumai, Purum, Tangkhul, Sema. I'm sorry, this Purum should comes under Kukishin. Sorry. Purum should comes under Kukishin, yeah. Just a minute. Yeah. Then we have in Meghalaya. In Meghalaya, we have Bodogaro and Kukishin languages. Meghalaya's case is something different. In Meghalaya, other than Khasi and Garo, no other language is being introduced in the schools. So far we have Karbi, Kos, Rava, Tiwa or Lalung is there, but these languages are not being introduced in the schools. But this Khasi is a very advanced language, and Garo as well. It's a very advanced language. And in Kukishin, Beate, and Beate in Meghalaya, the case of Beate is not very good or satisfactory, because they have few, or they have small pockets of Beate, and they are influenced by the other languages on all the way. And in case of Mizoram, so we have in Mizoram Bodogaro, Kukichin, and Indoran. So in Mizoram, we have only one Bodogaro language, Riang, and in Kukichin is the majority. Kukichin is the majority, Beate, Mar, Lakher, or Mara, Lai, Pang, Paite, Pawai, or Poi, Raltia Thado. And these are the Kukichin languages. And Indoran, Chakma. Chakma, once upon a time, if you just go back to the 14th, 15th century, Chakma also had their own Tibeto-Burman tongue. Because of the influence of the Bengali, now Chakma has shifted towards the Bengali language. That is, they lost their language in real sense. In Mizoram also, only Mizo is the only language of school. That is, it is introduced in the school from class 1 to PhD level. But no other languages is being introduced in the school in Mizoram as well. In case of Nagaland, we have Bodogaro language, Kukichin, Karbi, and Naga group. And in Nagaland is one of the instances that, most of the indigenous languages are introduced or being taught in the school in the formal setting. So we have, Angami, Ao, Chang, Chokri, Khaza, Konyak, Khyangmengun, Liangmai, Lotha Form, Pasudu Rengma, Sangatam, Sumi, Sema, Unchegujibi. All these languages are being taught in the school. Some of them are in secondary level and some of them are in primary level. But there is one more important issue that, small children, that is, children are not very much acquainted, but, interested to learn their mother tongue. That is, they are not very much fluent, maybe because of some very, very young children. When I just met some of the faculties from, Nagaland, and their children are very, very fluent in Nagamese. But it is, maybe I may be wrong, but I may find some cases, but I'm not talking about the, I'm saying that, honestly saying that I don't know in general what is happening. Okay, but some people what I have met or what I have experienced, most of the younger generation, most of the children, okay, they speak this Nagamese very well or English, but rather than their mother tongue. So anyway, Nagaland is one of the very good example because most of the languages are being introduced in the school as a Kukichin language, like Kuki is also being introduced in the school, except this say in case of Bodogaro, Dimasa is not being introduced in the school in Nagaland. Tripura, in Tripura, Bodogaro, Kukichin, and Indoran and Dolo-Burmese languages are there. So in Tripura, Kokborok is, it is not an endangered language, it is a very advanced language. And now they're demanding to include Kokborok in the H0 Indian Constitution. So Koloi, Jamatia, Riang, Rupini, Uchai, they are sometimes these people, okay, they are saying that, Jamatia are saying that they are not Kokborok, they are different from Kokborok, but in some Jamatia, again, they're saying that they are the dialect of Kokborok. There is some conflict, this linguistic conflict, or what we have to say that, okay, there are some conflicts are there to, determine that, okay, who they are. So anyway, but Kokborok is being introduced in the school now from class 1 to now PhD level. And there is Kokborok department in the Tripura University. Recently, they have introduced Kokborok in the university. And some Kukichin languages or dialects, okay, say Bong Sher Bong, Chaimol, Chakachep, Chorai, Rangkhol, Dap, Tarlong, Kaiping, Molsam, Korbong, Rang. They're in terms of their numerical strength. So there are very, very few in numbers. They're very few in numbers. Say this Bong, hardly it is 500. Chaimol, this is not more than 200. That is, if you just say, yeah, 150. Chaimol, 150 speakers are there. And Chakachep, 2000. These are the, rough, this calculation. Then Dap, very few, 800, something like that. Then in case of Bongshir also cannot less than 1000. So these are the languages we have. Though I am not determining the language endangerment in terms of the numerical strength, because if this Bong, they have 500 speakers are there, but still still they are speaking the language, though they are influenced by the dominant Bengali language or the Kokborok, but still they are speaking the language. And interestingly, Mok is the only Lolo-Burmese language in Northeast India, and Mok is also introduced in school in Tripura. Kokborok, then this Mok, Chakma, I think that they are introduced in the school. Mok maybe in the primary level and Chakma maybe secondary level. But Kokborok, now it is up to the PhD level. So levels of language endangerment in Northeast Indian languages. I need to work more in this particular, the section, because determining language endangerment in Northeast Indian case is not very easy, because we need to work we need to work more, and we need more effort to determine their viability. So in fact, as we know that UNESCO's language vitality and endangerment framework, so they have categories like safe, then vulnerable, then definitely endangered, severely endangered, critically endangered, extinct, something like. But what I feel that Assamese, Bengali, Bodo, Manipuri, Khasi, Mizo, Karbi, Missing, Garo, Au, Angami, Kokborok, and Nepali. So they are safe because in terms of numerical strength, they are very, very good. They have say more than one Kokborok is maybe, I'm just from the Kokborok, maybe near about 13 to 15 lakh. Angami also okay, good number. Manipuri good number. Bengali good number. Assamese, Bodo good number. Khasi good number. Mizo good number. Karbi as well, missing, and Garo. And these languages are introduced in the school as medium of instruction, or as a subject. And they have their printed media in these languages, and these languages are being introduced being telecast in the Doordarshan of respective state. And these languages are also broadcasted in All India Radio, in All India Radio of their respective state or the district. So this language these languages are maybe the language of trade and commerce, their administration. So in this particular, or in this level of their, viability. So I cannot, I am not okay. I cease to be mentioned that they're endangered, but they're endangered. But in fact, they're safe. I cannot say that they are endangered languages. So they are safe. Then the next category is, most children speak the language, but it may be restricted to certain domains. That is whom the UNESCO mentioned that this is the vulnerable category. So these are the category, or this is the category. We have large number of languages, say Bongshir, Chaimol, Lai, Chakasef, Chorai, Rangkhol, etc. So there are about 150 languages are mentioned here, okay, under this vulnerable level. So if I left something, okay, so anybody, our members or our audience, okay, you people can add me. You people can tell me, okay, what language are left out, and also okay, what languages are not to be included under this category, because okay, I'm also okay, I need to work more. That I have mentioned that, okay, because determination of the level of endangerment is not a very easy job. We need to work more. So if this, or from audience also, when the interaction session, you please tell me. And definitely endangered, modern and coarse, okay, children no longer learn the language as mother tongue in the home, and severely endangered language is spoken by grandparents and older generation, while the parent generation may understand it, they do not speak it to children among themselves. Sonowal and Hazong. Hazong, they have their own language. That is, they are Bodogaro tongue. But now, because of the influence of Assamese, Bengali, this Hazong is already not almost all shifting towards the Assamese or Bengali. But few all people are there. They are speaking the language. They understand. So when I just meet in some of the old people, so they can speak the Hazong. That Hazong is very close to Bodogaro, something like this Garo, this Dimasa. And critically endangered is Tai Ohom and Sakma. As I mentioned that Sakma had their own language earlier, that is also Tibeto-Burman tongue, that is also Mongol tongue. But because of the influence of Bengali, now they have almost shifted to the Bengali. And the case of Tai Ohom is everybody knows that this once upon a time the Assam was ruled by the Ohom, but now this Ohom language is being now endangered. That is, what to say that this is critically endangered. Some people they have declared that Ahom is an extinct language, but still in the remote areas of the Shivsagar district, so there are few speakers. They speak the language partially and infrequently. So I don't have any data, okay, of extinct language in Northeast India. It is very good. So our language should not be extinct at all. And why our language is on the verge of extinction. This is a very important issue. Yes, I have mentioned some of the factors responsible for the language endangerment of our Northeastern languages, but it may not be very feasible in some cases. But it may be feasible in some languages, but it may not be feasible in some languages. But in fact, in generally, so I'm just mentioning some of the points, some of the factors for the language endangerment. Number one is the endangered languages are highly influenced by the dominant language of the region like Hindi, Assamese, Bengali, and global language like English. See, when I met the Naga guy, small guy, he used to speak Nagamese or English and very fluently. So it is the symbolized that, okay, they are very much, acquainted with that particular languages, by Nagamese or English. So if you go to the Tripura, most of the tribal, most of the indigenous, ethnic group, they speak very, very fluently. They speak Bengali very fluently. See, kick and corner, they know the Bengali language. So it is the symbolized that, they are very acquainted with that particular language. And why? Because this Bengali is the dominant language in that particular region. And imposition of dominant language towards minority and endangered minority speakers. This is very unfortunate. The second point, what I mentioned is that in 5th August 2019, Assam government has notified that, if anybody wants to appear the Assam Public Service Commission from Borak Valley, then one should be studied Bengali up to class 10 standard. And similarly, if anybody wants to appear the Assam Public Service Commission from Brahmaputra Valley and Upper Assam, he or she should study Assamese up to class 10 standard. And if anybody wants to appear the Assam Public Service Commission from BTC area, one should study Bodo language up to class 10 standard. What about the other small minority speakers? Because we have more than 30 ethnic groups in Assam, but what about the fate of other 27 ethnic groups? Because they don't understand or they don't study the Bajar Bengali, Assamese, or the Bodo. Some of them are studying in English medium school and offering the Hindi ML. And in case of Manipuri, I'm just taking the opportunity to share my views with you people. See, we have Manipuri people in Assam, we have medium instruction. And we are studying Manipuri language from class 1 to PhD level in Assam. So we have the certificate of MA, we have the certificate of PhD, but we are not able to appear the Assam Public Service Commission. So these are the factors, and these are the impositions of the things towards or to our endangered or the minority speakers group. So this is very unfortunate issues, and this makes a lot of efforts to maintain the languages of their particular ethnic groups. And number third one is tendency for assimilating with other dominant cultures. Some of the people, okay, they always wanted to learn something from the dominant cultures because they forget about their own culture. They always what to say, lured by the culture of the dominant group. So there is tendency to some of the ethnic groups, not all, they would like to become the dominant people and they would like to assimilate with the dominant cultures. And unfortunately, we almost all the indigenous languages of this region do not have our enough or satisfactory written literature and indigenous script or writing system. But now people are writing with the Roman script, and some indigenous people like Bodo and some other people, they're using this Devanagari script, or some missing and other, then this other people, okay, they're using this Assamese script. And this script also plays a very significant role to, so to create literature of their own. And most of the languages of Northeast India are yet to be codified in the formal educational system. And it is very unfortunate, most of our languages, except in Nagaland, the case of Nagaland is very encouraging and is very wonderful because 95% of the languages are being introduced in the schools in the formal setting, formal educational setting. But in case of Assam, Tripura, Mizoram, and Manipur, so still, it is very pathetic because very few percentage of the languages are being introduced in the schools, in the formal educational system, and potentially negative attitude towards their mother tongue. See, what we feel when I go to the Karimganj and when I go to the North Tripura, I met the people and I asked them, okay, so what do you think about your mother tongue? Why you are not very much reluctant to learn your language, and why you are imposing to your children to learn the dominant language like Bengali? But you see, some section of that particular community, they're very happy to say that, okay, I'm XYZ and my language is this. But some of the section of particular ethnic group, they're saying that if we learn our mother tongue, so we won't get job. And our language is for the home language. If I just go out 1 kilometer from my house, my residence, I have to speak the other language. If I don't know these languages, or if I don't know, if my son, daughter do not know this language, they won't be accommodated in any job, even the job of a guard. So these are the issues. So these are the issues that we talk about: opportunity, power, politics, and opportunity. This makes our people potentially negative attitude towards their mother tongue. And number 7 is the replacement of indigenous lexical items by the loanwords. What we find is that most of our people are always thinking about, you see, this Western culture, then dominant culture, and they have their own lexical items for a particular object, but they don't use that. Instead of that, they're using the loanwords. This is frequently used. Okay, most of the time, they're always using either English or Indo-Aryan, lexical items in their speech in most of the domains. And declining the number of competent speakers in the young age group. So as I mentioned that, we should, take care of our young age group, because most of the young age group, children of young age group, they never recall our, what to say, recall the lexical items relating to flora, fauna. So they don't know the names of trees. They don't know names of, indigenous fish. They don't know the names of food habits. They don't know the names of, these days, then counting system. They don't know the, say cultural name of cultural practices, games, this or the festivals, etc., etc. It is very serious concern, because a lot of lexical items of that particular language or dialects will be obsolete very soon, because once the older generation have gone, then the younger generation, they do not know the lexical items relating to that particular, say practices, that particular, say, objects. It is very unfortunate. So we have to take care of our young generations, or young children, to make aware of the names of such objects and practices, and discontinuance of their old age traditional and cultural practices. Say now people do not dance nowadays, people do not sing folk song, and people do not go for the hunting. I'm not saying that okay you have to go for hunting, but people do not okay go for fishing. But these are the people do not go for the zoom cultivation. This make a great sense in our culture, in our community, in our life. And those lexical items relating to these cultural practices and traditional practices are also now being obsolete. So one day, so we'll be forgetting everything. Our next generation will be know how, and now they are completely, this dominated by the other, dominant cultures. And non-recognition of linguistic rights by the government. So as I mentioned, that government never look after the minority people, because they are looking for the vote. They're always looking for the election, because our numerical strength is very negligible. So far, they never care. These people cannot make us. And these people, okay, are very, very few, and what they will do. We don't like their vote, and these policymakers, say MLA, MPs, and the politicians, they always take care of the dominant groups, because they need a vote from them. So this is very unfortunate, because India is a democratic country. So the value of one vote is very, very high. Only one vote can win a person, can make lose of one person. So they should know that they always think of the larger community. And number 11 is educated parents impose and encourage their children to expose in international language like English, national language like Hindi, and dominant language of the particular region. And it is a very common phenomenon nowadays. But in fact, so we have to, our parents know that, what we have to teach our student for the being welfare of our community, for preserving our language, for preserving our culture, and for preserving our custom. And less number of speakers, if it is less number of speakers, say now Chimol is great risks, because they are having only 150 speakers. If once pandemic comes, say 50 of them may die. If 50 of them dies, and if something like say quarrel, something like if 10 of them dies, then is very risky. So number also matter. Number, though we are not, the linguists are not, giving importance to the number by numerical strength to determine the endangered language, but in fact, so practically number is also a matter. And it's economically backward, because our people, we cannot participate in trade and business, we cannot participate in politics, we cannot earn money in real sense. So far we are economically backward. So this economically backward is also very important issues, by important factors for language endangerment. And non-participant in politics, I mentioned that. Then inter-community marriage, it is also now very important issues in a state like Arunachal Pradesh. Now there are a number of numerous language or dialects in Arunachal Pradesh, but the inter-community marriage makes a problem, a kind of problem that the Adi men marries the Galong, that what language will be their kids. But their what kind of what language ba Adi ba Galo. So sometimes neither Adi nor Galo they impose Hindi. That is Hindi is the lingua franca of that particular region, so they used to speak in Hindi. So this is also a matter of concern, and it is very serious issue. And nowadays, the intercaste or intercommunity marriage is very common. So we have to take care of these issues very carefully. Uh, and liberal use of loanwords in their day-to-day life. I have mentioned that many people they are prefer to use the loanwords other than their own lexical items. And number 17 is deforestation. See, because of this deforestation, we lost many animals, we lost many trees, we lost bamboos, we lost many things now. And when we lost the things, but when we lost, the trees, when we lost the birds, when we lost the animals, then, their names should also be lost. So our next generation, they are not knowing the animals. They are not knowing the animals, birds, and the trees along with their names. That is the lexical items relating to that particular trees, that particular birds, that particular animals will also be absent. And few, say steps for preservation and revitalization is placed, and it is not very much, it is not very much what to say. This is the proposed step. So initiative should be taken from the policymakers, linguists, anthropologists, and the speaker of the community itself. The role of linguists is there, but along with the role of linguists, the community, the speaker of the community, particular community is very important. Their role is very important. Their role is more important than a linguist. But in fact, linguists can guide them, and linguists can encourage them. Linguists can say shows the way how to preserve the language, right? As and then second point is parents should encourage their children to speak their heritage language. In whom domain? So our parents should encourage our children to speak our own language, other than say dominant language like Hindi, English. For the up to 9-10 years, we have to speak our own language to our children. After 9-10 years, we can teach them other language, the no harm. So this is our sole responsibility, that our children should be teach our own language. And number third one is positive attitude of speakers should be developed by giving awareness program, by counseling, and some sort of academic activities like recitation of folk rhymes, folk tales. We have folk rhymes, folk tales, that folk songs, and this is very important in our life. So this should be practiced, and we should pass all these things to our next generation. Then number 4 one is the old age cultural practices of the concerned ethnic group should be recalled and revived to revitalize the language. Our cultural practice is very important. So once we have recall our cultural practices, then we can revive those lexical items relating to that particular cultural practices. Then audio and video recording of folk songs, folk dance, and cultural practices should also be made for the availability of the younger generation, so that the indigenous culture should not be eroded in the long run. And we need this electronic form of say folk songs, folk dance, then folk rhymes. So this will make more this will make more easily transmit our language, by our ideas, our culture to our younger generation. And number 6, language should be a part of formal education system. It is must. Our language should be taught in the schools, regardless of its potentiality and population size. Without having formal education, so it is very difficult to preserve our own language. But interestingly, in India, National Education Policy 2020 make a room for the indigenous people of Northeast India, because up to class 5 is mandatory. Up to class 5, mother tongue should be taught, mother tongue should be learned. Then if it is possible, then up to class 8, okay, our mother tongue can be taught by learned. So it is a very good step, okay, taken by the government of India, so to ascertain our our survival. And preparation of bilingual primer, pictorial glossary, wordbook, pedagogical grammar, orthography, and lexicon with the help of indigenous people should be developed, will help to preserve the language. That is, the preparation of bilingual primer is important, because those who are introduced in those languages who are introduced, which are introduced in the schools or colleges, for them is all right. But what about the language, the small minority languages, which do not have the opportunity to introduce in the school? For them, we need to work. For them only, linguists should help them to prepare bilingual primer, pictorial glossary, word book. So if once we get the pedagogical materials, so that they will learn and they will teach and they will feel that, okay, our language is also equally good in comparison to others. And number 8 is there should be a special program in All India Radio for minority and endangered languages occasionally in the initiative. And native speakers of language should be encouraged to form the literary bodies. Is very important. Each and every minority speakers should have the literary body. As in Assam Sahitya Sabha is there, Dimasa Sahitya Sabha is there, Manipuri Sahitya Sabha there. In Manipur as well, okay, most of the minority people, okay, they form this Sahitya Sabha or the literary body, and it is mandatory. And every tongue, okay, every community speakers should have the Sahitya Sabha. And number 10 is native speakers of the language should also be encouraged to write poems, short stories, proverbs in their language. And we sometimes, okay, we should stories, proverbs in their language, and that will make more interesting to the native speakers. Sorry, is in connection. Finally,
Sir, I can hear you in between, and I've lost your connection, I think. I think Dhiren sir has lost his connection, so I would request members to kindly bear with us until he joins again. Um, Dhiren Singha sir is joining us. He has replied that uh, he's joining soon.
He has almost completed his talk. mm, I suppose.
Yeah. He's joining.
Hello, Manali. Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Oh, you can hear, no?
Manali,
Yes.
please make
Oh,
co-host, na, Dhiren, sir.
Yes, yes. I have made him already the co-host.
okay.
Okay.
So, sir, you can share
So,
your screen.
so yeah, I'm sharing my screen.
Yes, sir.
From where I have to start?
Point number
Suppose
9.
point number 9, no?
Yes, yes.
Okay, this one, no? Manali.
Sir, I'm unable to see your screen. I have
Okay.
made you the co-host.
Just a minute.
Sir, should I share from my
Yeah.
end?
It's all right. I'm sharing now.
Okay.
Okay, coming now? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes, it's coming, sir.
Should be. So vision point number 9, right?
Yes, the next slide, I think.
Yes,
This,
sir.
this one. Okay.
I think it was somewhere between point number 9 and 10.
Point number 9 and 10. Oh. Yeah. So native speakers of the language should be encouraged to form a literary body for conducting local workshop, seminar, etc., to attain and enrich their literature. What I want to tell is that each and every ethnic group should have the literary body. So as we have Assam Sahitya Sabha in Assam, then Dimasa Sahitya Sabha and Manipuri Sahitya Sabha, and in Manipuri as well, in Manipur, Manipuri Sahitya Parishad, like that, each and every ethnic groups must have the literary body. Then only we can do a lot of work for the development of our own language and literature. And number 10 is native speakers of the language should also be encouraged to write poems, short stories, proverbs in their language. So till now, some of the languages or dialects on which, uh, few, literary works are not there. That is okay. It's literary work is completely missing, okay, in that particular, language. So we should make the role of linguists here. The role of linguists is that, okay, we should encourage the indigenous, speakers to write poems or stories, proverbs in their own language. And number 11 is community-based orientation programs should be organized periodically with the help of indigenous people. Here, this government, the role of government is there, but in fact, our government sometimes they are dumb and they are deep. But though, other than government, so linguists, social scientists, and local scholars, they can help the people to organize their programs. And once this communities based orientation program here, we can discuss about our culture, we can discuss about our all its practices, and this is very important, and there should be periodically, they should be organized periodically. So and our constant effort is there, to preserve our culture, to preserve our our just indigenous, food habits, customs, ritual, etc. And number 12 is governmental and non-governmental agencies, organizations should take initiative in this regard. Say in India, Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysore, is taking initiative to document, to describe some of the endangered languages of India, and it is a very good job. And they have to take more initiative in this particular, context, in this, particular field. That is, we are proud that, India is having more number of languages, and India is that's why we're saying that India is a multilingual, multi-ethnic, and multicultural country in the entire world. And conclusion, I just come to the conclusion, and most of the indigenous languages of Northeast India are unexplored in terms of codification, documentation, description, and graphization. And as a result, the indigenous languages of the region are on the verge of extinction. And description, documentation, and graphization for the endangered languages of the region is the most essential task for the linguists, anthropologists, and social scientists. Here, the role of linguists is very significant to describe, document, and to prepare their orthography. But however, we need, some financial help from the government. So each and every step to document, but to describe, or to preserve, but to revitalize any language, the help of government is needed. But unfortunately, if nothing is done for the protection, preservation, and development of the same, the existence of such endangered languages in the next 100 years will be a question mark. They will be survive in this modernization, or in this flow of globalization. And keeping this in mind, the present talk has tried to contribute to the struggle for survival waged by the indigenous people of Northeast India to keep their language and culture alive and vital. These are the references, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Singha. And I would like to open the session for questions now. It has been a very informative talk on the necessity and importance of language documentation, description, and graphization for these endangered languages of Northeast India. The first question has been, I think it's there in the chat box, and it is from Dr. Dhiren R. And he says, congratulations, Professor Dhiren Singha, very good thought-provoking session. And his question is, what are the steps taken by concerned state governments to revitalize these languages under endangerment?
Yeah. So when you talk about the role of government to revitalize, but to preserve the languages of Northeast India. So I feel very sorry to say that there is no concrete steps taken by the government to revitalize the languages of Northeast India. Rather, the community speakers and the linguists from the country and the abroad, they were trying to preserve, they're trying to promote, and they're trying to revitalize the endangered languages of Northeast India. So, sir, are you getting my point?
Thank you, Professor. It is everywhere in all the states in India. This is the problem prevailing.
Yes.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, also for the question. And the next comment is actually not a question, but it is kind of an opinion.
Yes.
and that is by Narmada Dole. And she says that Mishing is her native language, which
Yeah.
was considered to be an endangered language until recently when UNESCO reconsidered it to be an underdeveloping language.
Yeah.
And she shares that in spite of Mishing having a large number of population, it is getting endangered because people are migrating to the towns and cities and do not speak the language. So she shares her laments that Assamese is used more than Mishing at home,
Okay.
and her father has been helping with the language issue. And she mentions that, and it did not come to me until the language awareness hit me. So
Okay. Okay.
she further comments that there are ways to protect one's native language, but I think he or she should love his or her language enough to
Yes.
nurture it and pass it
Yes.
to future generations.
Yeah. Just Miss Dole, okay, what I have mentioned here, missing is safe because we have certain, level that, in terms of education, so missing is introduced in the school now. And in terms of their numerical strength, missing has more than 5 lakh. And, this missing now has, participated in politics in Assam, particularly in Assam. And now missing in some areas of Assam, missing became the language of, say, trade and commerce. Even the Assamese people, they are speaking the missing. It is not a case of missing only speak the Assamese. Now Assamese people, okay, they used to speak the missing in certain areas. So in that case, I think so missing maybe a good position in comparison to other languages or other dialects. So far, okay, just I put this missing in safe, but in fact, if you have given me the idea that, okay, so some section of missing are, speaking only Assamese rather than missing. So okay, I can, okay, make it out this missing from the safe, and I can, just put under the vulnerable. Thank you very much for comments.
Thank you, Narmada Dole. The rest of the participant members can also unmute themselves and ask questions in this session.
Can I?
Yes, Uncle
Yes,
Musil.
yes, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Sir, I have, for the first time, I come to know that Sonowal
Sir.
is not um, merely a surname,
Yes, sir.
but also a language.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And again, a home is also another language.
Oh, yes, sir.
And Assamese
Yes, sir.
also another language different from Sonowal and a home. A home.
Yes.
So, in my general understanding,
Yes, sir.
is Assamese
Yes, sir.
is the language spoken all over in a home.
Okay, sir.
So today's in your presentation,
Yes, sir.
You have made me understand that
Yes.
a home is a different language,
Yes, sir.
and Sonowal is a different language, not a surname,
Yes,
not
sir.
only a surname,
Yes.
not only a tribe or not only a community, but also a language.
Language, yes, sir. Yes. Sir, Sonowal is a language. It comes under the Bodo-Garo language, and it is, Sonowal is very close to Garo, Dimasa, Deuri, Rabha, Tiwa. But unfortunately, most of the Sonowal speakers, they are shifting towards the Assamese, sir. This is the very pathetic situation in Assam.
Including the Honorable Chief Minister.
Including Honorable Chief Minister also speaking, Assamese.
Okay, thank you. I was just
Yes.
coming to that conclusion. Okay.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you so much.
Thank you.
I also would like to add to
Please,
that
please.
to clarify Mosel uncle's opinion.
Yes.
Actually, Sonowal, Moran, Motak, Thengal, Ahom
Yeah.
are kind of extinct languages, but they are
Oh, yeah.
moribund because they are used in chants and
Yes.
rituals, but they are not used in the daily activities.
Yeah.
So this group of people, they use Assamese as their mother tongue
Yes.
because that is the language they
Yes.
use at home. So that is the situation of these
Yeah.
languages.
Like
Yes.
we Poor language.
Yeah.
Yes, something of that.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Okay, Monali. But what we find is that in Tinsukia, right? In Tinsukia side, and in some of the remote areas, these languages are spoken by the older people. But this
Older
is
people.
also older people. It's very patriotic now. Older people, okay, they don't have the people to speak this particular language to whom they will speak. Some of the people, okay, when I met and I just asked them, okay, they're saying that, see, I still, okay, I know some of this Sonawal language and our language, the name of our, language comes from, we were, okay, there in the river and we are the people, okay, we spin the gold, okay, from the sand, something like this. He was narrating that. Then he was saying that I know Sonawal, okay, I can speak Sonawal, but to whom I will speak the Sonawal? In his family, no one can speak Sonawal except him. These are the situations, but still some very old age people are there in case of Ahom and in case of Sonawal, in case of Moran Motok. Then we have to find out this speakers and we can document this
Yes,
languages and we can we may revitalize, okay, from that particular speakers, but we need our effort, and government also should help us to do that. Thank you, Manoj.
we just hope that the speakers still live to
Some
be.
you see in the this Tai Kamyang, right?
Mm.
Tai Kamyang. So only now 50, 60 people are there now. They can speak Thai Khamti nicely. But if you see in a family, right, they have 7 people are there. But out of these 7 people, 2 can speak this Thai Khamyang. And their younger generation, most of younger generation, okay, they cannot speak Thai Khamyang. This is the situation. In Assam, there are languages in a queue to become the case of Sonawal and this Ahom. This is very patriotic. So there is time, okay, to revitalize these languages. But as I mentioned, that we need our effort, and government also should help us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, and there are questions in the chat box
please,
also.
please read it.
The next question is from Alindra Brahma, and
Yeah.
his question is, what would be your ideas in Northeast India Linguistic Society taking initiatives to revitalize the endangered languages of Northeast with the help of NEC, Sahitya Academy, National Book Trust, etc.? On the other hand, we can join hands in implementing the idea of Ministry of Education to introduce home languages or local languages as mediums and subjects.
Yeah. So as I mentioned that these organizations by community members and linguists, we are trying to revitalize we are trying to document the languages. But till today we don't have any concrete steps. If there is any instances, so you can share me that, okay, from the government sides, I didn't find any kind of concrete steps, to do something, okay, for the revitalization of this particular languages like a home and this Sonowal. I don't think so, okay. But this nails Northeast Indian Linguistic Society, and they are the people, they are the society. They are also trying to help to revitalize the languages. So I should thank this organization, and I should thank the linguists from abroad, those who are coming here and stay here and to do something for the development, for the revitalization of our languages. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Olin, for the question. And next question is from Professor Madhumita Borbora.
Yes.
She says that I have documented folk tales, stories, and proverbs in Bugun in a book in 2015 for revitalization of the community.
Very
But when I
nice.
ask them about how the language is developing, they have no answer. Documentation alone does not seem to work. Comment. So she's asking you
Yeah.
to add further
Yeah.
comments on this.
Yeah, actually, Madam, thank you for the question. But that's why I have mentioned the role of community members. The role of community members is very important rather than linguists. Linguists can help them to do, but to document, to describe, and to show the ways how to do it. But the initiative, the sole initiative should be taken from the community members as well. But we need the help. We need the help from community member. We need the help from linguists. We need the help from government. If these three things together, if we work these three things together, then I think so, the preservation and then protection and development of Northeast Indian language may be made. Thank you very much, madam, for question.
Thank you, ma'am, for this question. And if there is any further question from the members present here, you may unmute yourselves also and ask. And if there is no more question, then we can end the session here. Okay, Dr. Pautang Hao keep raised hands, so
Yes.
you may unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yeah, hello, can I be heard?
Please, sir, please, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, but very low volume.
Okay, I'll try to speak louder. So the talk was quite extensive and very informative, something that we have to educate ourselves and work in the direction of language preservation and protection. So the points I would like to raise are with regards to list of extinct languages.
Yeah.
Some languages have gone extinct. So
Yes.
these include some languages like Andro, Sekmai, Sak, mainly spoken in Manipur. So they are completely
Yes.
lost now,
Yes, sir.
and the speakers are now merged fully into Manipuri. Yeah, that is. Those are some of the languages for which we have information about. We don't have information about what the languages were like, but I'm told that there could be some documents available, perhaps. Linguists from Manipur University and other university might have some few documented some text or something must be available, but the exact nature we are not very sure.
Yeah.
And the second thing is with regards to your what you call classification of languages. I'm not saying that these are right, these are wrong, but it is something that we have to work.
Yes.
Yeah, we basically depend on classification offered to us by foreign
UNESCO.
linguists.
UNESCO, yes.
By foreign linguists. And of late, Barling was the one who would do some geographical classification of Tibeto-Burman languages.
Yeah.
So at the lower level subgroups, the classification suffers from a number of adequacies. So, to my mind, this Jeme group or Zerengrong group, Rongmei, Liangmei, and Kabui or Kabui, and Jeme, Liangmei, and Kabui may not appropriately fall into Kukichin group.
Kukichin, yeah.
It may not fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me complete my point.
Yeah.
Of course, it shares a lot of lexical similarities, no doubt. So even these languages are also closer to Manipuri, and Manipuri also is closer to most of the Kukichin languages, and most of the Tangkulik dialects are also very close. So within this close group of languages, how much we can go down and further classify them is something that I'm not sure. But with regards to another language, something like Maram. Maram is one language I really don't know to which subgroup it is closest to. It is not as close as Pome. No,
Naga.
yeah, it is not as close as Pome or Mao or Angami. So this status of Maram is something that I also don't have much information.
Yeah.
So whether it should be classified as a separate branch, or I don't know where to club it. So these are some of the difficulties we are faced with.
Yes.
But the attempt as a whole was good.
Yes.
And thank you for that presentation.
Yeah. So actually this Lai, then Sak and Andro in Manipur, right? So I'm just saying that, okay, I don't have much knowledge about these languages, though we heard that, okay, these languages were there and they have extinct, but I'm not, much more information about, their, say what their manuscript or their documents to say that, okay, these languages are being extinct and what to say, okay, but that's why, okay, I didn't mention, okay, all these things. And thank you very much, okay, for your information. I'll just communicate so with the, authorities of Manipur University, if they have that kind of evidences regarding this Sak Andro and, say those languages, but these languages, okay, being, extinct. So I will find out. And so in my next talk, so I'll just incorporate those informations. And thank you for the this kind of information. And second thing, this Kukishin, this classification is I roughly I'm not very much strict to make the subgroup of this Tibeto-Burman languages, because this subgroup, okay, lies very much problem on this confusion, okay, regarding this. What I just accept is that, okay, you're talking about Je Liang Rong. That is okay. It is very quite acceptable. Jemi, Liang Mei, Rong Mei, and this Pa Mei, they can be clubbed together in a group. So that I am not doing here, but I feel concerned that, okay, this 4 languages like Liang Mei, then this Jemi, then this Rong Mei, and this say Pa Mei, they should be clubbed, as you mentioned that, okay, Jalendrong, something like. And this Maram, in case of this Maram, so I don't have much information, because I don't have the much data, but some of the linguists, so they have mentioned that this Maram is close to other Naga group. So far, okay, I'm just following those our previous linguists that mentioned that this Maram is close to Naga, something Gerson. So Gerson was talking about this Maram, and he just classified this Maram under Naga. So these are the issues, but it is very, very important issues, to find out, okay, what kind of strategy, but what kind of things should be done to this determine this Maram can be categorized under which group, either Kukishin, Naga, or this should be kept as self Maram, like Karbi. And even this Manipuri, we are saying that Manipuri is Kukishin language, but some of the teacher, what we find is that it is very close to Kuki, but it is not very close to Kuki. So like Karbi, Karbi, never link up with other language group. So Karbi is better, as Barling told that Karbi should be kept as Karbi and Manipuri should be kept as Manipuri or Meitei. In that perspective, Maram, we have to see the structure of Maram, and we need close study their phonology, morphology, and syntax of Maram. Then only we can say that, okay, Maram will come under which group, a subgroup. So thank you for the information. Hold on.
Thank you, Dr. Haukip. And I think Dr. Temsu has also raised his hand, so you may unmute yourself and ask question.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Dhiren, for that bird's eye view. I just had a comment and maybe a small question. And this comment is with regard to the UNESCO factors, the
Yeah.
methodology. Just for the benefit of scholars, I think there are many scholars here. The UNESCO factors, this is not the only factor or methodology.
Yes.
So there are other factors like Fishman 91.
Yeah.
And then more recently, I think there's also this language endangerment index, 2016. And there are others as well. So we usually look at this UNESCO factors because I think it has become more popular, more, you know, but we also need to understand that all of these different methodologies
Yeah.
have disadvantages. There are debates how effective these methods are. So we also need to think about that. Uh,
Yes.
uh, Beyond that, I mean, one of the major problems in Northeast India, I think,
Mm.
is our inability to still, uh, zero down or narrow down on what is the language, what is a part of a language. So, for instance, if you look at the slide that is up, if we look at Garo, Garo is in a sense quite safe. But if you look at the other dialects of Garo, for instance,
Yeah.
uh, there's a, I think that Ruga or something, which is
Mhm.
already almost gone.
It
It's
was gone.
already
Yeah.
disappeared.
That's true.
If you look at Ao, even within Ao, that's just the name of the tribe.
Yeah.
Now, we have three different languages, and these three different languages have different, in terms of status,
Yeah.
very different, or
Okay.
even for Angami as well. So
Angama. Yeah. So.
uh, these things, I think local scholars,
Yeah.
uh, you know, need to come in and give more clarity on these issues, because these nomenclatures, I think, any methodology that you adopt are still going to take data according to this, and
Yeah.
still come up with the wrong kind of conclusion, because
Yes.
we're
Yes.
not able to make this distinction yet.
Yeah.
So uh, local scholars, I think we as local scholars need
Yes.
to shed more light on these
Exactly. Exactly.
issues.
Yeah.
I just had, and yeah, with regard to even Professor Madhumita's observation,
Mm.
I think apart from documenting and all of these linguistic things that we do, awareness about
Yeah.
these things, it's very important for all communities.
Yes.
We need to build up these awareness
Yeah.
among the community.
Yeah.
I had just one question with regard to that point you raised, where uh, Bodo being compulsory in BTC area, Assamese in other areas, in the
Yes.
Barak Valley, Bangla, Bengali
Bengali.
being, compulsory. Uh, so what is the uh, other people's reaction to such a
Yes.
policy? I mean,
Yes.
is there any official stand, or is there any bodies, uh, associations which try to counter this kind of policy, which is detrimental to the other smaller languages?
Yeah.
Is there anything like that happening in Assam with regard
Yes.
to this?
Yeah. Thank you, Tamsu. And just I have discussed this UNESCO's language vitality and endangerment framework, but it is what, as you mentioned, that okay, it is very popular. I have also I have looked at the uh, classification made by this Michael Krass and this Stephen Worm. But in fact, what to say, this as you mentioned, that is UNESCO's language vitality is more popular, and as I have mentioned, okay, in my talk, so these areas we have to work a lot, and we need our the effort to determine the position, to determine the status, to determine the levels of the languages. As you mentioned, there's Angami has three different languages. Angami is the name of the community, but when the case of languages, okay, Angami has three languages. Similarly, in the case of Ao as well, and you have rightly mentioned that is Garo. the dialect of Garo, like Ruga, is almost this in on the level of the critically endangered language, something like, because people are now, okay, the old generation, they're still speaking the language, but the children, okay, now children did not learn the Ruga dialects or what Ruga variety. So that I'll just look into the matter, them too, and we can just work out what you have mentioned about the Angami, Au, and I have I have following the UNESCO's, but we can adopt, and we can come up, okay, with some kind of this framework, our own framework. We can study, we can analyze, we can describe our languages, and we can come up, okay, with a very say suitable, very crucial kind of framework can become of. This is one. And second thing, second thing is in APSC. So from a candidate from Barak Valley should opt for Bengali, and from Brahmaputra Valley one should opt Assamese, and from BTC one should opt this Bodo. So it is a very unfortunate and I have to say that unfortunate kind of imposition from the government side. But in fact, what you mentioned that all Assam Manipuri Students Union, AMSU is the leading organization to protest, to protest against the regulation, and they are demanding to review the regulation. So in this case, some Hindi speaker, some of the organization from Hindi speaker, some of the organization from Manipuri speaker, some of the organization from this Naga speaker, and some of the organization from say Kuki speaker, that is Ranglong, Rangkhol. And very interesting thing, we have organization, that is Barak Valley Indigenous Ethnic Coordination Committee. Yeah, it is consisting of 18 indigenous people. So we have this Rongmei Naga, we have Dimasa, we have Ranglong, we have Sorai, we have Sakasek, we have Manipuri, we have Rajbangshi, we have say Mar. So 18 tribe. We are now working, and we are protesting, okay, what the government has made, that kind of very unfortunate notification. But it is very happy to share with you that in the last 8 October in the cabinet, okay, it was decided in the cabinet that those who are not studied this particular languages like Assamese, Bodo, and Bengali, for them this qualifying examination will be exempted. See, this was the situation that, okay, even the educated people, they cannot apply for the job. Forget about the getting job. They cannot apply. Even they cannot apply for the job. But now, last cabinet decision, it was held on 7 October, made us some kind of ray of hope for appearing examination. That is, they have exempted that particular qualifying examination, which will be written in Bengali, in Assamese, and Bodo. Now all the indigenous people of Assam can appear the Assam Public Service Commission. So this is the information. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr.
Yeah.
Temsu, for the question.
Thank you, Temsu. Yeah.
I also want to give my experience, because in Assam, like my district, Dimashao, I mean, being a hills district and Karbi Anglong, we do not have any choice when it comes to civil services. Like
Yes.
either we have to opt for Bengali or Assamese or Bodo, but none of these languages are the lingua franca in my district, Dimashao.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
actually a pidgin, Haflong Hindi. So nor are the people of the district, highly educated in Hindi. So there comes the linguistic issue, and English is not given as a choice for the Hills district of Assam. So it is a little discriminatory when it comes to appearing in exam. That means the native speakers are they're forced to prepare in at least one of these languages. So that is the very unfortunate situation happening.
So now the cabinet has already taken decision. Those who are not studying these three languages, they will be exempted from the qualifying examination. Don't worry. Now you can appear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think there is one more question from I think Samhita, Dr. Samhita Bhardwaj.
Yeah.
She says, "Thank you for the talk, sir. What is your view on the endangerment of dialects within these languages? In my experience with working with Rabha, I have come across that the non-standard dialects are further endangered or extinct. How do we tackle this situation?"
Yeah, this is a very, very difficult, question to answer. Why it is, within the language, right? Endangerment of dialect is there. As I am giving one example. In Dimasa, right, we have measured 3 dialects, right? So Hasao is considered as standard. Then Hawar, then this Dambra, they are substandard, right? But now people, I've seen that from Hawar, Hawar dialect, most of the this Hawarsa now they are imitating the standard dialect. They never say now nu, they used to say ning, right? So in a sense that the dialect of Hawar is gradually dying, right? Because of the prestige, because of the standard. And similarly, in case of this Rabha, that is happening, we know that. But the case of preservation, the case of protection is a very difficult thing, right? Because people prefer, because we cannot make we cannot make 2 languages but 2 dialects standard, but we have to adopt one dialect should be the standard. That's why people always looking for the standard dialect rather the sub dialect. But in fact, what my suggestion is that if the speakers of that particular dialect, prefer to speak that particular dialect, and if they transmit their dialect to their children, irrespective of choosing for the standard, then your dialect will be survive. It depends, it is in the hands of the speaker. Once you see in the case of Kasar district, the Sylheti Bengali, they used to speak Sylheti Bengali. Now Sylheti Bengali is also dying dialect because because of the standard one. In most of the educated families, they used to speak Kelu Bengali, Calcutta Bengali, rather than the Sylheti dialect. Because of what? Because of the prestige. But when we talk about this, what to say, fishman's, diglossia, the high and low, it happens. But still, some section of the Sylheti people, they have campaigned that we should not give up our own dialect. Sylheti may be dialect, no doubt, but in fact, this is our tongue. This is this has been incorporating with us since our ancestral time. So we have to keep alive our dialect, though we can learn our standard, but in fact, along with standard, so we have to learn, we have to pass our Sylheti Bengali to our next generation. We should stop to teach Kedu Bengali to our children. Rather, we should teach our Sylheti Bengali to our children. After some time, after 10 years of age, we can teach Kedu Bengali to our children for the academic purposes. So this will be the solution. So only that particular dialect, the speaker of that particular dialect should transmit their dialect to the younger generation. That's the thing.
Yes,
Thank you for the question. Yeah.
And thank you, Dr. Samhita, for the question as well.
Yeah, thank you.
And Dr. Bobita Sarangkem has given a comment regarding Maram, that Maram belongs to the Zimi subgroup of the Tibi or Trans-Himalayan language family as cited in Vendrim 2001.
Vendram, yeah.
Yeah. Then Madhumita ma'am further wants to add in the chat box that there is no policies on languages which are not officially recognized by Government of India. NEP still follows the 3-language formula till date.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Haukip, Pauthang Haukip adds to agreement to your point that I agree to the point that we should devise our own scale of language endangerment rather than depend solely on UNESCO or other sources. Also, the level of mutual intelligibility among the Kuki-Chin languages need to be fleshed out.
Needs to be fleshed out, yeah. So thank you all, okay, for your comments and suggestions. I do accept, and okay, I do note it down in my diary, and so that okay, I'll just work in that particular line. And thank you for the comments. I don't have any answer for that. Okay, thank you very much. I'm accepting okay what your comments.
Thank you very much, sir. And I would like to request Joint Secretary, Dr. Bijen, to kindly deliver a vote of thanks and conclude the session.
Thank you, Dr. Monali. Before I proposed vote of thanks, I would like to have an announcement that on Monday, we are going to have a general body meeting for the WhatsApp members of Tivlanai. So the login details of the meeting will be shared very soon. So we invited all the members of Tivlanai to make it convenient to attend the meeting. So meeting may be at evening time, 6 p.m. So thank you for that.
6 p.m. is better.
Yes, sir. Respected professors and scholars from Northeast India, thank you very much for joining this particular session. And we are very happy to see Professor Muralidharan R. from Tamil University, Tanjavur, Tamil Nadu. This is the first time that we are having an audience from Dravidian group. So we welcome you, sir, and we would like to see you in the upcoming session also of the Tivlanai. Thank you for joining us. So the special thanks goes to Professor K.S. Dhiren Singha for giving such an comprehensive and informative talk on the Northeast India, the status of languages and the language endangerment, and the kind of documentation that the earlier scholar has already done and what needs to be done. Thank you, sir, for this kind of presentation. So at the end, I thank all the audience who make their time convenient to attend this particular session. Thank you very much. So with this note, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you to all the participants. Thank you, and we will see you next week in the next talk on Saturday. And as Dr. Pijan has announced, there will be a general meeting for Tivlanai members on Monday, 6 p.m. So please join us in the meeting. We will share the link soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.